Hello and welcome back to SnowRunner, y'all, and today we have some very important topics to talk about, and we're going to be kind of jumping around from topic to topic, but a lot of it revolves around the future of SnowRunner, the current state of SnowRunner, and a couple of other things that sort of intermingle with those topics. But before we get into any of that, let me give you all a quick mod list rundown. The truck is the Baja Crew, which is available now on all systems. The trailer is a trailer pack by Dubs. I believe it's called the PB Trailer Pack, and it is also available on all systems. The map is Tassie Trailing, once again approved everywhere. And the vehicle on the trailer is the Baja Utility Vehicle, which is hopefully going to be approved on all systems soon, but we of course have no guarantees as to when that could be. And that is actually going to lead me into my very first topic, which oh so delightfully happens to be console mod approval and the lack of really just kind of general transparency around console mod approval. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about the modders themselves, the mod creators themselves. The mod creators are always very transparent about what's going on, whereas the dev team is usually like, it gets approved when it gets approved, and that's all you're gonna get. Now, I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm not saying that we need more from them in that aspect, because really all that matters at the end of the day is that the mods make their way to the console where the player base wants to use them. But I really want to talk about it on a broader scale because, you know, as this game has gone on, I've noticed a increasing sentiment from a lot of players, and that is the increasing sentiment of overall frustration with the game in general. Whether that be frustration with mods, frustration with multiplayer not working, such as we've seen with Xbox, frustration just overall with the game. And there seems to be a overall vibe around player frustration that is kind of centered around this game that the game now finds itself in the middle of. Now, a lot of people like to, you know, kind of point the finger one specific direction or another, and some will say, oh, it's all the developer's fault, and other people will say, oh, it's all the community's fault, and other people will say, oh, it's all this person or that person or that person. And really, at the end of the day, there's no, like, one definitive reason why X, Y, and Z happened, but regardless of how the game sort of got here, the game finds itself in a state of a frustrated player base where a lot of them have kind of been at each other's throats for quite a while. And when I say at each other's throats, I don't mean necessarily, you know, in the realistic sense of that term. I don't mean physically, but the player base tends to be very volatile, and we've seen that over the course of the past, past couple of years or so, but particularly the past year and a half. Now, I've been playing SnowRunner since its release date, and it just recently crossed over its 3-year anniversary of being out and being live, which is great. I think that's wonderful, and I do think the game is an amazing game. I think it's a wonderful, not only basis of a game to be modded, but I think it's a fun game. I mean, I think the series has evolved a lot from the Spin Tires and MudRunner days, but we've talked about those games a lot lately. We've talked about those games in a lot of other videos, and we don't need to talk about them anymore in this one. What we do need to talk about in this one is kind of a state of where we are now. And I've done a couple of other videos where I've talked about topics like this and where I've said things like SnowRunner kind of has a frustrated, unhappy player base that needs to be addressed, and what we've seen, kind of unfortunately, is the devs kind of seem to be like, well, we're just gonna keep doing the game the way we've always done it, and we're not really going to, you know, we're gonna bring things up, like they've acknowledged the multiplayer issue on Xbox, yes, but there's really been no update other than, we know this is a problem, we're working on it, that's that, and off you go. And for a lot of people, that isn't enough. Now, I'm not gonna stand here and say that, like, oh, well, we need a in-depth, step-by-step rundown of everything that you're doing on a spreadsheet, you know, and, like, we need to know what you did with this on this day, what you did with this on this day. That's preposterous. There's no way we're gonna ever get anything like that, and I'm not here to expect something like that, but at the same time, it would always be really nice to see even little things like, hey, we've been working on figuring out Xbox multiplayer issues. You know, we tried this and it didn't fix it. We tried this and it didn't fix it. But we're trying a couple of other things soon, and we'll update you when we have more. You know, I know that that might seem like a really simple thing, but it is just a little bit more than we know this is a problem and we're working on it, and then never really saying much else about it again. And I think that there's been sort of this sentiment going around in the community that people are just like, well, I'm frustrated with this game right now. I'll come back to it later and see if it's not in the same state. And that I've seen from a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people that are like, well, I had to step away. You know, I had to step away from this game because no matter how many mods there were, no matter what was coming out, I just wasn't interested anymore because the game was sort of stuck in a state of not being fully functional, either the way it was advertised or the way that they expected the game to be or the way they expected it to play, and they jumped into it. They realized it wasn't in the state that they had hoped for, and so they backed away. And I can't fault someone for doing that. I really can't fault someone in any way for doing that. And as someone that virtually plays this game just about every day, I completely understand where you're coming from. I mean, I have so many hours in this game, I haven't even, I would really rather not, like, tally up how many hours I have in this game because it's probably way too many. But at the end of the day, I feel all those frustrations as well. Even though I play on PC and I have, you know, instant access to all these mods. I mean, that's something we hear a lot from the console community, is frustrations over the fact that PC players have instant access to mods. And unfortunately, that's just one of those things. It's like a perk of being a PC player. And, you know, you can't really, there's no real way to overcome that as a console player. Really, the only way to change that is to play the game on PC. But I understand that that's not possible for everyone. But my question to some of y'all is, if you have looked at the state of SnowRunner or jumped into it and experienced it and gone, you know what, that wasn't what I expected, or that wasn't what was advertised, and then you stepped away, what did you step away to? Did you step away to another game? Did you step away to a hobby outside of gaming? Did you step away into just a different space entirely? Because I've had a lot of comments lately where people have said, yo, I love watching the SnowRunner content, but I myself had to step away from the game entirely because it just didn't have what I had hoped it would have, or it didn't have the support for what I wanted to do. Main example for that being multiplayer, especially on Xbox. And, you know, I think when you combine the multiplayer issues with the fact that all of the mods got separated so badly that it really did segment the community in so many undesirable ways for growing a game's ecosystem. And, you know, this might be controversial to say, and I'm sorry if it comes off this way, but, you know, as someone that looks in at the SnowRunner community every single day, to see the, you know, the developers say, oh, the SnowRunner ecosystem is healthier than ever, I'm like, not really, dude. You know what I mean? Like, your community is frustrated. Your community wants more from this game. And, you know, when you keep saying the same things and doing the same things, the community either gets frustrated, gets mad, or leaves. And there's not much else that I can say about that, and I'm sorry if that's kind of a controversial take, but it's one of those things where I see it all the time, and as somebody that loves this game and loves the community around it, it pains me to see it. It really does. But it is something that I feel like I do have to say. And while I am saying that, I'm also not in any way trying to paint the game in a negative light. It's a great game. It's a wonderful game, and it gives you access to so many different experiences that you wouldn't have been able to do in games otherwise. I mean, it's like, yes, I know that, say, for example, I don't know, you could go off-road in GTA, but you're not going to have these physics. You could go off-road in BeamNG, but you're not going to deform the mud the same way. And plus, BeamNG is not even on consoles, so you have to kind of like add a little asterisk to BeamNG as well, because there's a large portion of the community that plays this game that doesn't even have access to BeamNG because they don't have a PC, or at least they don't have a high-performance PC, which you don't necessarily need a high-performance PC to get, you know, to run BeamNG, but in order to get it to look, you know, halfway decent, you do need a fairly high-performing PC, which for some people can be a prohibitive thing. Because while I do have a, you know, fully built gaming rig, you know, massive tower of a PC, I understand that not everybody has access to that, and I'm not going to just sit here and say, oh, well, you're over the experience you're having with this game on console, well, just build a PC then. It's not that hard. Like, I'm not gonna tell somebody that, because not everybody has the access or the ability to just build a gaming PC, especially up to the latest and greatest specs. Now, granted, you don't have to have a latest and greatest spec PC to get decent performance out of a game, but again, it's one of those things where I'm not just going to be like, oh, well, just do this then and everything will be fine. Like, you should be able to play a game as advertised and have a good time, and for especially Xbox players right now, that is not what SnowRunner delivers. But in closing, I do want to say, and once again reiterate, that as I say these things, I say them from a place of love for this game and love for this series, because I know what it can be. I played all the way through MudRunner and all of its DLCs. I played all the way through the original Spin Tires, with mods, without mods, full vanilla, fully modded, all these different ways. I know what this series can be. I've seen what this series can be, and the state of SnowRunner right now is not that. But with that all being said, hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I will see y'all next time. Wow, I did that really, really well. I'm gonna pat myself on the back for that one.